Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Explore Quantum Entanglement and Your Mother Wounds, how transforming inherited traumas can lead to healing your mother line and reclaiming your personal power. My name is Stephen Dinan. I'm the founder and CEO of the Shift Network, and I'm really excited to be with you here, getting to explore a really hot new area of exploration in the field of personal transformation, and that has to do with what we carry from our lineage. There's a lot of focus now on ancestral healing, and we're going to get to dive in with a pioneer of methodologies that are really grounded in frontier science. Her name is Dr. Lotte Valentin. She's an NMD. She's a medical medium, psychic medium, author, ancestral healer, keynote speaker, so many different accolades. And she's really developed a deep understanding of how to heal the mother lineage and how that manifests in our own wound patterns. So, Dr. Lotte, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, well, thank you, Stephen, for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, I know we're going to dive in. You've got some exciting stuff planned for us. So, and I also want to let everyone know that we are going to have a brand new program with Dr. Lotte. It's called Quantum Entanglement and Your Mother Wounds. And it's a 7-week program. We'll share more about that towards the end of the hour if you feel sparked to go further and really engage the deeper transformation. So, Dr. Lotte, let's begin our time today with a little bit about your journey and backstory and what propelled you on this path. Really exploring quantum entanglement and the mother wound.
Yeah, it really began back in 1992. And I had two near-death experiences. One was in 1992 when I hemorrhaged to death in the ER after my third child was born. And I was a complete atheist at the time. And when I left my body, my first thought was, how can I be outside my body and still be me? And I was also aware that there was no time in this state, and you had access to past, present, and future all at the same time. And I was then pulled back into my body as they saved my life. And the next day, while I was still in the hospital, I started hearing the spirit world. And my sister-in-law had passed away 10 days earlier, and I could hear her. She was in the left corner of my ceiling saying, everything's going to be okay. Well, then what happened was that I struggled with a bone marrow suppression. So I had no white blood cells or platelets. So I would have a lot of bruises and I would get pneumonia. And it really took 6 years to come out of this state. And while I struggled to heal, I had a second near-death experience. But this second one is really what activated my life path and the work that I'm doing today. And I found myself in this different place or dimension, whatever you want to call it. And I heard the most beautiful music you cannot make on the earth plane. And then I was enveloped by this very bright, white, healing light. But as I'm in this light, there is an understanding that I am now with Source, and you can call that God or whatever you want to call it. But it was an understanding that we come from this light, we return to this light, and we carry this light within us. But within this light, there was an outline of angels, and this beautiful music came from the angels. But again, I'm aware that I don't believe in angels because I didn't have a belief system in place to work with the spirit world at this time. So here I am having all these all these experiences that really wasn't part of my belief system. It's one thing if somebody says, that's my belief system, and then I experience it. But it wasn't like that for me. And then there were two spirit guides, and they showed me, it was as if I was standing on the moon, looking down on the earth. But around the earth, there was a silvery, glittery fishnet, which now you can Google, and you can Google grid around the earth, and you can see very similar to what I saw. But we didn't have Google back then. So I searched the library for years trying to figure out, what is that? What is that grid? And the spirit world told me that everything on earth is connected to each other, but everything on earth is connected up to this grid. Well, it is this work that has transformed the way I work. And over the next 12 years, I kept hearing the spirit world. I knew when family members were sick. I knew family members that were passing away. I would see events before they happened. And eventually, after 12 years of this, I received a message. I had now learned to trust in these messages because whatever they told me would happen. And they told me I had to go to medical school. And I had to write 2 books, no wait, 3, which I have been told by 4 professional mediums worldwide. It's always the same message. And I've written my first book. And I was to bring messages and healing to the people. But they also told me that I needed the degree of being a medical doctor. But I wasn't going to work as a medical doctor the whole time. I needed it for this spiritual component that I didn't understand what they meant. And I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean, spirit world?" And they said, "When the time is right, we will let you know." Well, then I went to medical school when I was 54, and that was in 2012. As soon as I graduated in 2016, I met a woman at a seminar who happened to be a medium, who then brought in that same message again. You're to write 2 books, no, wait, 3. And oh, by the way, the spirit world says, your mother actually says, you have to go to Arthur Findlay College in England and study mediumship. And I had literally just taken my medical boards. And I said, I just took my boards. I have to work in the clinic. And the messages just kept coming. Nope, you have to go to Arthur Findlay College. So 6 months later, I find myself at Arthur Findlay College in England, and I went back many times for several weeks and studied mediumship. And it wasn't until, 2017, I went to Arthur Findlay College, and it wasn't until like 2020 that all of a sudden, all the pieces fell into place that I was told back in 2004 when they gave me the message to go to medical school. So this dance is like, it's like a divine dance of now integrating my medical knowledge with my spiritual knowledge. And now I understand what that original message was, that no, you're not supposed to work as a doctor the whole time. You're supposed to integrate this into spirituality. And that interconnectedness that they showed me with this grid, that is the interconnectedness that I now understand on a much deeper level, because we are all interconnected to each other, just like they told me in that message in 1994. But now I understand it from having studied it, and now I can integrate it and I can help teach that to other people and help create healing, not just for each individual person, but we also create healing globally when we heal ourselves.
Mm. Well, what a truly amazing set of initiations and the guidance that propelled you to sort of bridge the worlds of medicine and mediumship and understanding this grid in a deeper level. So you talked a little bit about the planetary grid and how it connects all of us. How does that apply to the mother-daughter or mother-son relationship? How does this grid then kind of manifest in what's being passed through lineages?
Right? It's such a good question. How does it all work? But so we're integrated and connected we're connected to our, I call it the soul family, but especially our mothers, because we come from our mother. Not only are we connected through DNA, because we all carry 50% of mother's DNA and 50% of father's DNA, but we're also connected through this grid, or, the cosmic mirror of how everything works, because we are a reflection of everything that exists outside ourselves also exists within ourselves. So the way that we go through life and the way we interact with people, our reactions to things, are coming from our own experiences, our own lived experiences, but it also is entangled with this grid, which is entangled with our mother. And so when we experience things like difficulties or struggles in our life, sometimes they are a combination of our lived experiences and the things that we then got from our mothers or through DNA. And so the experiences or struggles we have aren't necessarily ours. Sometimes we have, let me see if I can think of a good example. Sometimes we have an unreasonable fear. And people say, I have a fear of going to concerts or being in anything that doesn't make sense because the person didn't have an experience themselves, right? So you might have a fear of, let's say, loud noises or fire trucks, but you were never in a fire, or you never were in any kind of a situation where the fire department was called. So it's not your own traumatic event that you're connected to now, but you have this unreasonable fear of sirens. So that is something that is inherited. It's coming from somewhere else. But it's the same thing with the way we're entangled with our mothers. So we might have problems in our relationships. I'm going to say that is the most common one I see. People have problems in their relationship. They might not feel seen or heard in their relationship, or they just keep hooking up with the wrong person, and it's the patterns just play out over and over again. And these are the things that we are entangled with our mothers, but we're also entangled with the cosmic mirror. So everything that exists outside exists within ourselves. And the way we experience life, right, is then reflected back onto us. But the things that our mothers did are also reflected back to us. Their struggles, their traumatic events, anything that they weren't able to really resolve is now an energetic pattern that's passed down to the next generation. So it's not like your mother had 100 problems and you got all 100. No, you probably picked a few of them, and the rest were distributed. The rest were distributed equally through the different, siblings within the family. So, but we all carry things from our family lineage, and specifically from our mothers, because when I work with people in this fashion, the mother wound is the most common problem that I see. And even when I work with counselors and psychotherapists and physicians, and they seek me out, and I explain to them why it is that they're struggling with, let's say, imposter syndrome. Well, once you untangle that and you understand where it's coming from, it's no longer an issue, because you have to create that awareness of where the problem is coming from in order to create healing for it.
Hmm.
Right? So when we heal, the first thing we have to do is say, okay, I'm sick. But if you keep telling yourself, I'm not sick, you're not recognizing that you're sick. So you have to say, yeah, I'm sick. I have a stomach issue, and now I'm going to heal it. And I know this stomach issue happens every time I eat pea soup. I don't digest it very well, and then I have an issue, right? But it's the same thing with all the things that we're entangled with, because if you can always send healing to things, right? Let's say you get a rash from walking through the field at the back of your house. And every time you walk through this field, you get a rash. And then every time you have this rash, you put your hand on the rash and you send healing to it. Takes a couple of days. Eventually it goes away. But once you realize that there's poison oak in your field, then you can avoid that path in the field. You don't go through the poison oak anymore. So that is the same thing that happens when we understand why it is that we're struggling with certain issues. Once we understand where they're coming from, then we can create healing for it.
Hmm. So that's really fascinating what you've been sharing, and you've been using the term entangled quite a bit. And I think it'd be helpful for everybody to go in a little bit more the science side of quantum entanglement, what's happening, and when does that actually get established to the mother? Is it sort of a genetic thing? Is it in the womb? Is it part of the upbringing, or sort of all of the above?
Right. So quantum entanglement is what Einstein used to call spooky action at a distance. So he could see that there was an instantaneous transfer of information. So the information, when Einstein worked, he actually, he based his philosophies on the speed of light. But what he saw was that information transferred instantaneously, and that's what he called spooky action at a distance. But that is what is now, physics or quantum entanglement. So we see that we don't need a signal. We tend to think that the signal goes from point A to point B, but quantum entanglement is instantaneous. So as soon as we incarnate, we are entangled, or maybe we are actually entangled before we incarnate, because everything is connected to everything else in quantum entanglement. So as soon as we meet, right? So we know that from physics, that when two particles meet, right, and then you separate those particles are now entangled because they met. So we meet our mother, right, physically when we go into the womb. And so now we're entangled with mother through quantum physics because we're in her womb. But even if you were adopted, now you're entangled with your birth mother, but you're also entangled with the mother that raised you, or your stepmother. or your adoptive mother. So as soon as we meet somebody, we get entangled. And that is the entanglement that we see when we work with our issues. We get entangled with the issues that they get passed down from the generations before us because they weren't able to resolve those issues. So there becomes an unresolved issue and the patterns repeat. And so in this course, we're going to take a look at, how do we recognize the patterns that get passed down through the generations?
Hmm.
But the quantum entanglement is, once you have met, you are entangled.
That's interesting. So just meeting creates some entanglement, but I guess being in the womb is like a very foundational level. So that's why all of us are going to inherit some level of mother wounding, because whatever's unresolved in the previous generation we're going to get sort of synced up with that no matter what, it sounds like.
Yes. And then you have the DNA too on top of it, right? So you have the quantum entanglement, but then you're also entangled with the DNA. And now we have several studies that show that we actually inherit trauma on the DNA. So if your grandfather served in the war, you might be carrying, like, let's say the fear of the sirens, you might be carrying that fear, but it's an unreasonable fear because you didn't have any traumatic event involving sirens, but you're afraid of sirens. And that may stem from the grandfather that served in World War II. So, right, these things gets passed on the DNA. So you're entangled with your ancestors via your DNA and via quantum physics. So right, so it's two ways. So we're really much more entangled than we think we are. And we go through life and we think that we are separate from everybody else. But that separation is really an illusion because we aren't separate. We are connected, through quantum physics and through DNA, but we're connected to other people too. We're connected to, our other ancestors, families, your cousins, and all the people you have come in contact with at some point or another. Right. So it just depends on what you're going to pick up on. But in this course, we're going to focus on the mother because that is the most common issue that I see. And we're all entangled with our mothers, whether we like it or not. So
So
it's
let's
just
talk a little bit
impossible to
about the
get away
healing.
from it.
I think you said a really great understanding. So now let's talk about the healing of that. So awareness, first step, understanding what might be transmitted through entanglement, how that's affecting our current status. How do you then go deeper and work at the sort of deeper energetic layer so that it's like healing that whole energetic fabric, not just for us, but ultimately our lineage as well?
Right. So when we create healing, right, for ourselves, first, I think it's really important to understand why it is that we're struggling with something, because it's like sending the healing to the rash that we don't know where it's coming from, that came from the poison oak in the field. We are sending healing. Now, sending healing, you can never go wrong with sending healing. But in order to create healing for the issues that we struggle with, which might be, I don't feel seen and heard in my relationship. Why is it that my partner, can't appreciate me? I do all these things for him or her, and there's no, gratitude towards me for doing all this work. And that's a really common issue, but that actually comes from the relationship you had with your mother. And so those relationships then get transposed onto our partners. And that's something that's really, really common. So when we create healing for ourselves, we figure out what it is that is creating the issue in the first place. But once we understand what it is that we're struggling with and where it comes from, now we can heal it. So it's like, seeing the light, creating that aha moment for people. But once we create healing for ourselves, we create healing on a global scale because we are all interconnected through quantum entanglement. I'm connected to everybody in my family. When I create healing for myself, I create healing for everybody I'm entangled with. That includes my children, my family, my parents, my brothers, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my friends, and everybody that I come in contact with. Because when I create healing for myself, I change my frequency. I change the frequency I resonate at. And as human beings, we resonate and entrain with everything that is alive out there. And I'm going to stick to the alive part because for those that have read, The Secret Teachings of Plants by Stephen Herod Booner, and how he describes how we have an electromagnetic field around our heart, which we know is how we do an EKG, right? But that electromagnetic field entrains and synchronizes and resonates with everything else that is alive, whether it has a heart or not. And so when we create healing for ourselves, not only do we resonate with everybody in our family and friends, but we resonate with the plants, the trees, the animals, right? Everything that exists. And again, that shows that interconnectedness so beautiful. And when we look at people like Paul Stamets, the mushroom guy. Many people have heard of the mushroom guy, and how the mushrooms have literally the internet underground, right? The mycelium, the hyphae that's growing and connecting and in this incredible network. But we also know trees communicate this way, all the different plants, right? But that network, that is just like our computers, right? We have everything is stored in the cloud. So we have all our stuff is stored in the cloud. We put it in Dropbox, we put it in iCloud. But when you think of who we are as humans, I'm going to say our soul is stored in the cloud. So when you think of it that way, right? Because now we're so used to computers, it makes perfect sense. You leave your body. It's like you get out of the body, you're still there because you really live in the cloud. You're stored all your information up there. Your body is just like your computer hardware. And so when you're outside your body, you have access to all that information of who you really are because everything is stored in the cloud. So when we create healing, right? We are connected to everything, but we're also connected to ourselves, which is in the cloud, which is connected to everything else. But when we think about ourselves and our body, that is now the frequency that resonates and entrains with everything else that exists around us. And that includes your own family. And so when I work with people, the most magical things happen sometimes, that people create healing and then all of a sudden they start talking to family members they haven't spoken to in maybe several years because they changed, they created that aha moment for themselves, and that frequency changes. And even though you haven't spoken to that person, now all of a sudden that person calls you. I've heard this several times. And it's just fascinating. It's so incredible because it seems kind of magical at the same time, but we are magical human beings. We have so much more power within us that we don't even understand it. Like, it's hard for us to wrap our head around it, because once we are in these little bodies, we're having this earthly experience. It's like our minds get limited because we're stuck inside the body. But when you go outside your body in a near-death experience, you understand that you have access to everything. There is no time on the other side. You go, past, forward, or future, or it doesn't really matter because everything is there at the same time. But then we go back into our little bodies to have this earthly experience to learn and let our soul grow. But that is really what we're learning. We're going to be learning in this course. Like, how can we create healing? How can we create healing in our own lives? That because when we change everything around us. We create healing for the world when we create healing for ourselves.
I love that. So it also just gives a higher purpose for our healing, that we're literally creating the positive ripple through the whole fabric of connections in our family and beyond. So very beautiful framing, and you have a lot of unique ways of seeing it. So let's turn our attention to having an experience of this. I know you have a deeper process that you want to lead so that we can each do a little piece of that healing for ourselves right now. So why don't you tee that up a little bit and then get going?
Yeah, so I'd love to take you through this exercise that I call the Mother Moon meditation. And what we're doing is we're tuning into the moon. Now, the moon is female, so we call it the Mother Moon. And what the moon is going to help us with is illuminating the root causes of our struggles. So, that is based on the relationship we had with our own mothers. And many times, people tell me they grew up in a Leave It to Beaver family and they had the most perfect mother. And that makes me laugh because that's what I used to think too. I had the most wonderful mother. But the truth is that it just creates a different type of issue that we struggle with in life. And it's not so readily available for us to see. It takes a little bit digging, and then we say, there it is. So that is actually related to my very perfect mother. So even if you have a perfect mother, there are things that you struggle with in your life. So when we do this meditation, just think of, what is it that you struggle with? And then let the Mother Moon guide you and illuminate the root cause of that struggle that is related to your mother. I would like you to find a comfortable position. You can either lie down or sit comfortably in a chair. If your legs are crossed, uncross them so that both feet are touching the ground or the floor. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And again, take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Allow your shoulders to drop and soften. Feel your sits bones connect to the chair, ground, or surface below you. Let the space between the eyebrows soften. Let the jaw relax and release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Allow yourself to become a receptive vessel. Envision yourself journeying along a serene path through an enchanting forest at midnight. The forest is still and tranquil, with the harmonious songs of crickets filling the air. In the distance, you see many different mother animals tenderly and affectionately caring for their young, adding to the peaceful ambience that envelopes you. As you walk along this sacred path, you become deeply aware of your profound connection to all that you see, hear, and feel. You understand that you are intertwined with the sun, the moon, the stars, and the entire universe. This connection extends to your mother and everyone you know, both on earth and in the spirit world. you also feel the presence of your spirit guides and spirit animals, knowing they're always with you, guiding and supporting you on your journey. As you continue on your path, you arrive at a magical meadow where you find a special spot, like a sanctuary that is inviting you to sit and rest. You recline on the lush, deep green moss, which feels like a soft, comforting cushion beneath you. As the moonlight bathes you, it soothes and calms your entire being, enhancing your connection to universal intelligence. In this sacred space, you can see the beautiful, soft, glowing light of the Mother Moon. Her wise, loving, and maternal energy envelopes you, offering comfort, guidance, and unconditional love. Bask in her luminous light, allowing her gentle energy to fill you with profound love, peace, and tranquility. Know that you are safe, loved, and supported. Invite the Mother Moon to guide you and illuminate any struggles or issues rooted in your relationship with your own mother. Ask her to shine her light on what you need to heal. Trust that her wisdom and insight will flow to you in the form of thoughts, feelings, or images. Remain open to receiving her messages, whether they come immediately or later in unexpected ways. Trust in her guidance and the answers you receive. I will now let you experience the nurturing, wise energy of Mother Moon. And when it is time to come back, I will let you know. It is now time to come back. Take a moment to express your heartfelt gratitude to Mother Moon for her presence and wisdom. Thank her for the love and light she brings into your life. Feel your heart swell with gratitude, knowing that you are always connected to her nurturing energy. You now stand up from your magical space in the meadow and return back on the path through the woods the same way you came. You notice that you feel at peace, calm, and loved. You come to a little bridge and you cross over this bridge, which brings you back into this reality. Feel yourself come back to this space and dimension. Feel your body connected to the surface it rests on. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And if your eyes were closed, allow them to softly open and receive light.
Wow, Dr. Lotte, what a just a deep journey for a introductory call event like this. And so thank you for that. And for me, it really connected me much more with like the wisdom of nature, sort of to act as this healing, uplifting energy. I was getting more of a sense of spending time at the ocean and trees and really designing my annual rhythm around those times of restoration. And so I'd love to ask first about using the moon as the sort of the source of wisdom, and why work with the moon in that way in terms of working with healing the mother lineage, and then maybe share a little bit more about what to do next with whatever emerged for people.
Yeah, so the moon is feminine. It's the mother moon, and it holds, right? The moon holds our emotions. And so when we're trying to reach that subconscious level within ourselves, I have found that bringing people on these guided shamanic journeys gives us access to that subconscious mind in a very different way than if we just have an experience of communicating with each other. It is when we sort of calm our senses, right? It's the same thing when we connect with the spirit world. We can't connect to the spirit world unless we calm everything else down. So when we calm ourselves and we go on these journeys, there's things that sort of bubble up to the surface, and we can more easily access these memories or the reasons behind our struggles. And so I love to take people through these journeys, and I work with people all over the world. And whenever I do these journeys with my clients, it's always the same response. It is, that, wow, all these things came to the surface now. And it creates that opportunity to create healing. And it is when we let go of the everyday activities and we put ourselves on these journeys that we can access this information. It's just a beautiful way of creating healing in our own lives.
And did you want to share a little bit more about how people can integrate and keep working with what's emerged for them?
Yeah, I mean, so whatever came up, right? It's kind of like the beginning of what the course is going to be about. It is my hope that I will take you on a journey going through the course where we will be, one issue will be coming up, and then I will be guiding all the people through the course of creating healing for their own issues. So in the course, we will actually start with laying the foundational work first, and I'm sure we're going to go talk a little bit about the modules. But halfway through, I'm going to have everybody start working on their own issues and keep guiding them as we go through the modules, which then culminates in a guided shamanic healing journey at the end. But we will be doing journeys along the way as well to uncover the different reasons and the different things up to the surface as we go along.
Mm. I think, yeah, since you're already starting to talk a bit more about the upcoming program, I think now would be a great time to do that. And first of all, I want to say how grateful we are that you've agreed to partner with us on this program. Really think this is important medicine for our time, partially because we are at this turning point of eras from a patriarchal pattern on the planet to what I call a partnerarchy, or sort of a balance between masculine and feminine. And it's really a time when this healing of the mother lineage is so important for all of us. And so thank you for doing this course. It's called Quantum Entanglement and Your Mother Wounds: Science, Spirituality, and Somatic Healing for Personal Transformation. And you can find it laid out in detail at healyourmotherwound.com, healyourmotherwound.com. It's a 7-week program. There are no prerequisites. It's really just if you feel intuitively drawn based on today or reading the sales page or reading anything further about this, that it's like there's a sense of something that's being called forth in you by what Dr. Lotte is talking about, and a sense of a deeper healing that wants to happen. So, Dr. Lotte, I'd love for you to share more about your intentions for the program and what people will come away with, and then I'll read out the module titles so you can give us a preview of what's coming in each.
Yeah, so the intention about this course is to create healing for each of the people that are attending the course, because when we create healing for ourselves, like I mentioned before, we create healing for the world. And like you mentioned, we are in a place right now in Earth, right? That was the prophecy of the Inca, 500 years ago, that said in the early 1990s, we started this integration of mind and body, kind of, because it was a symbol of the eagle for the North, which meant the mind or the Industrial Revolution, and then the condor of the South, which is all about the heart. But in the early 1990s, it was predicted that we go into a new era where the mind and the heart will join. And so the eagle and the condor will fly together. And we see this, and we've been seeing this since the early 1990s, how we are drawn to original traditional medicines from down in the Amazon, and how we are integrating our mind into our heart. And so my hope with this course is to create that integration for people that truly integrates the mind, body, and spirit, but the interconnectedness, creating the understanding of how our interconnectedness to the web of life itself will create healing for each of the participants. And we will particularly be working with the mother wound, because everything starts with mother. We come from mother and we carry her DNA. And a lot of the issues that we struggle with comes from mother.
Very cool. Well, I love the overview and the intention. So module 1 is called Transform Personal and Generational Traumas Using Science and Spirituality.
Yeah, so in this first module, we're going to be really laying the foundation for the work that's coming. How do we understand what is a mother wound? How does it show up in our life? How do we know if we're carrying a mother wound? Honestly, I think everybody has a mother wound. Why would we incarnate into a family if a mother wasn't going to teach us something, right? So it's just a matter of learning to uncover that. And so we'll go through all the foundational understanding of how to recognize the mother wound and where those situations come from.
Beautiful. Module 2, Unveil Repeated Patterns to Create Healing for Yourself and Your Soul Family.
Yeah, so, and then in module 2, we're going to start looking at the patterns. And so we see patterns, and patterns that people are familiar with are often addictive patterns. Alcoholism tends to run in families. We know this from psychology studies, right? But there are many other patterns that run within our families. And how do we learn to recognize the patterns? And so module 2 is focused on creating that recognition of the patterns. And once you see the patterns, you will not be able to turn it off, because you're going to see the patterns with your friends, your family, your children, and everybody, because once you recognize the patterns, you can see that person struggles with this issue, and now I see the pattern in that family. And so it's kind of a pattern recognition module.
Module 3, connect with higher intelligence for wisdom and healing energy.
Yeah, so in module 3, now we go really deep, and I will also be working with the participants in module 3, and I will be presenting, client cases from around the world with obviously names changed to protect the original people or clients. But by hearing the different stories and scenarios of different peoples and what they struggle with, it brings up that aha moment and allows us to then recognize our own struggles. And then I will also be working with anybody, any brave soul in the audience that wants to be a guinea pig, with some issue, and show how we then unravel that and find the original cause.
Module 4, journey to the mother's cave of wisdom to uncover the source of your mother wounds.
Yeah, so now we're starting to really unravel the thread. So by module 4, everybody should have a pretty good understanding of the patterns that show up, what the mother wounds look like. And in module 4, everybody will be starting to work on their own mother wound. And so I will be guiding the participants. That will be journaling along the way. What is an issue you would like to resolve? And then as we go along, they'll be journaling and taking notes to unravel their own mother wound. And so that begins in module 4, where we then go deep into a shamanic journey to uncover that. Where is it coming from?
Module 5, access your body's wisdom to heal on multiple levels of consciousness.
Yeah, so in level 5, we learn also about the somatic memories, because many times we don't have memories, especially if we had a traumatic childhood. And we also don't have any memories from before the age of 3, because the brain is not fully developed yet. But we have memories in our tissues, and it's called somatic memories. So we'll be doing an exercise in that module, which is just a beautiful exercise that really teaches us to create boundaries in our life. Not only do we create the physical boundaries, but also the inner emotional boundaries. And the exercise will be based on a relationship to our mother, but it's something we can use with all the people that we have in our lives.
Module 6, create a healing environment to prepare for releasing your mother wounds.
So, yep, now we're in level 6. So now we're getting to close to understanding how that mother wound originated. And now we have to learn, how do we create healing around that mother wound? How do we create a healing sentence that we are going to use in the last module when we create healing for the mother wound, but also the importance of the environment and setting intentions and ceremonies, because all these play a role in creating healing for our mother wound.
And finally, Module 7, release your mother wounds to receive the love and nurturing you need.
Yeah, so then in module 7, we will create healing for the mother wound that we have worked on, our own mother wound that we worked on since module 4. And we will we'll end with a shamanic healing meditation journey. And we will use those sentences we created in module 6 to create the healing for the mother wound. But that is really what restores not only our own frequency, but the frequency throughout the universe, throughout our soul families. And that is the healing that takes place in that last module. And it will be all a ceremonial, beautiful experience.
Well, it's a beautiful program and couldn't be more timely in terms of really outworking these deeper patterns and really rippling out into the whole collective, that it's time for us to release these patterns and become more free and more whole and more aligned with our soul. So really beautiful offering, and I'll share a little bit more about it. Again, the whole program is laid out in detail at healyourmotherwound.com. You'll get not only the 7 90-minute live sessions with Dr. Lotte, you'll also get time to ask your questions live. You'll have recordings for every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts to work with, study, and highlight. There's weekly exercises for home. There's a Facebook community to support you and deepen your experience with others around the world. On the page, you'll also find quite a number of extra bonuses to enhance your journey. There's a video from Dr. Lotte called Mother Earth's Healing Embrace, a Meditation Journey. There's a PDF guide from her called Honoring the Mother Lineage, Creating Your Sacred Altar. I'm curious to hear a little bit about creating your sacred altar as a bonus. You want to share more about that, Dr. Lotte?
Right. So the altar is really you're creating a bridge between your physical and the spiritual. And how do we create these sacred spaces? And what do we put on that altar? What is it that's meaningful? What does the environment look like? Is there a space that's better than another space? How do we clean this environment? How do we clean the energy field around this sacred altar? And so it's a step-by-step guide on how to create that altar, which is really your bridge between your physical and the spiritual.
Really cool bonus. And that's not the end of them. There's one, actually, the most robust extra bonus is the special bonus you get if you sign up by midnight tonight Pacific time. We like to have a bonus that encourages you to really tune in and make a decision now because you have the most information hearing this call. And if you choose to move forward, you're going to get 28 days of healing, mother wound affirmations with Dr. Lotte. It's videos and PDF guide. You want to share more about the 28 days, which obviously corresponds more to the lunar cycle as well.
Yeah, so for every day, you play this short video with the affirmation of that day. And it's to create the awareness, within yourself of who you are as a person on this earth, and to create that positive energy and the positive frequency within yourself. And this is something you can just repeat over and over, right? You can use it, you play this for the 30 days, and then you can start it over and do it again. And you keep doing it until you really have incorporated these blessings into your own frequency.
Well, that sounds a great extra reason to sign up right away. And again, you get 28 days of healing, mother wound affirmations with Dr. Lotte if you choose to move forward today. So it's clearly going to be such a healing program and I think real blessing. Just your backstory and the testimonials from your students are remarkable, Dr. Lotte. And I know people are going to get so much value. So we've kept the investment very accessible for this program. It says 3 payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start September 30th, run Mondays at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern, which also works for European time zones as well. And even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings and the transcripts in the community as well. And a lot of it is really just doing the practices and doing the shamanic journeys and really going through the whole circuit of working with your mother wounds and coming away more free and more clear. So I particularly encourage you to read through some of the testimonials. After our session, I felt so lighter. Dr. Lotte has led me exactly where I need to go, highly professional and talented, refreshingly authentic, warm, open, and genuine. Many beautiful testimonials of people who have worked with her in a more personal way. So you are in really good hands, and I am confident you will become through more free, more whole, and more healed. So again, it's all at healyourmotherwound.com. So, Dr. Lotte, we're at the end of our time. It's really been a blessing to be with you. Anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering doing the full 7-week journey with you?
Yeah, I really hope to see lots of people in the course. It is truly a deep healing course where we're creating healing, not just for ourselves, but for everybody that we are connected to through quantum entanglement.
Mm. Well, thank you so much. And thank all of you for joining. And if you'd like to go further, again, it's all at healyourmotherwound.com. And the course that Dr. Lotte is teaching is Quantum Entanglement and Your Mother Wounds, Science, Spirituality, and Somatic Healing for Personal Transformation. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Dr. Lotte.
Thank you.